Revealed 40 Days to Miraculous Deliverance. Lift your spirit, your divine power awaits. In the heart of a quaint English village, where cobblestones whispered tales of the past, stood an ancient church that had been a refuge for many. It was within these sacred walls that Sarah, a devoted mother in her early 30s, knelt nightly, heart burdened for her son, Jacob. His illness, a cruel shadow, slipped through the fingers of modern medicine, leaving doctors baffled and families on edge. Yet amidst despair, Sarah's faith burned bright as she sought the intercession of St. Jude, the patron saint of hopeless causes. One misty afternoon, as shafts of sunlight danced through stained glass, she met a mysterious elder, eyes twinkling with wisdom. 40 days, he declared, of unwavering faith, and you'll see miracles unfold. Her heart raced. Hope rustled with doubt. Could a simple promise heal her son? Every evening she guided her family to the altar, soft candlelight flickering like stars in an indigo sky. Their prayers floated upward, a sweet aroma of faith wafting through the church, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. "St. Jude, please," Sarah whispered, her voice firm yet quaking. Shadows of skepticism loomed nearer as neighbors whispered of better treatments. "What if the doctors are right?" her husband Mark pondered aloud. "We can't just sit and pray." Tensions thickened, each day amplifying the weight of uncertainty. As Sarah embarked on this sacred journey, doubts snaked through her heart. Could she really trust in the unseen? Still, by the second week, candid miracles began to sprout. Jacob, once listless, laughed a soft giggle, a sound of hope that echoed through their home like a gentle bell tolling. The villagers noticed. Murmurs of wonder flitted through quaint lanes. Some raised arms in praise, while others remained cautious, tethered to their skepticism. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The flicker of hope kindled a spark in the village. A collective gaze was fixed upon Sarah. At the communal prayer session, she felt the weight of every soul present, their hearts entwined in one desperate cry to heaven. As she knelt, an inexplicable peace settled over her. Tears pooled in her eyes, a quiet joy born of unwavering faith. But a new fear crept in. Would this miracle cause division among them? Would faith splinter into factions of belief and disbelief? As days blurred into weeks, every sunset brought a whisper of sustenance.
The true magnitude of their journey unfurled like petals in a spring bloom. Yet, with each miracle, the shadow of doubt loomed larger. Would Sarah's faith inspire a united front, or would the delicate fabric of their community's beliefs begin to unravel? In the stillness of the church, light streamed through stained glass, bathing them in a rainbow of hope. The village gathered, unified in prayer, yet questions remained, echoing in their hearts. How deep could faith reach, and what awaited them on the other side of this sacred journey? As twilight draped its gentle cloak over the village, a soft hush enveloped the ancient church. The steady flow of prayers continued to rise, but the atmosphere thickened with unspoken tension. Sarah felt it keenly, like a low hum beneath the peace she had begun to nestle into. The following week dawned with an unusual air, as if the heavens were holding their breath. Jacob appeared stronger, his laughter igniting warmth in Sarah's heart. But even as she celebrated his small victories, doubts simmered beneath the surface. Each day brought new questions. Was this merely a phase? Would the illness return with even more ferocity? Her mind wrestled with the shadows of uncertainty, leaving her feeling vulnerable yet determined. At the market, whispers swirled among villagers. Some spoke of Jacob's recovery as a miracle, their faith strengthened. Others, however, remained skeptical, murmuring of coincidence and misleading optimism. "It's just a temporary respite," a neighbor remarked, eyes narrow with doubt. "What happens when the 40 days are over?" Still, Sarah's heart clung to the promise of hope. She continued to gather her family each evening, leading them in prayer, reminding them of the power of belief. "St. Jude, guide us and show us the way," she'd implore as candle frames flickered, illuminating the faces of her children. One evening, as twilight lingered longer than usual, the church was filled with an expectant silence. The familiar elder appeared again, standing steadfast at the altar, his gaze penetrating. "Faith, dear ones, is the bridge over troubled waters," he said, his voice a soothing balm. "Doubt is the storm that threatens to capsize your hopes. You must weather it together." His words resonated deeply within her. The intensity of their collective journey surged like a tidal wave of encouragement. This was not merely her faith anymore. It was a tapestry woven from countless threads of community prayer and shared devotion. Sarah felt the swell of unity among them, a profound connection that flickered like the candles illuminating the church's interior. As days passed, Jacob's condition showed steady improvement. He moved about the house with newfound vigor, playing games with his siblings, his laughter echoing like a symphony of joy. Yet Sarah couldn't shake the nagging worry that accompanied this newfound hope. The 40 days were slipping through her fingers like grains of sand.
She began to observe her surroundings more keenly. The villagers who once viewed her with skepticism now offered warm smiles as they passed. The spirit of their prayers was palpable, drenching her with comfort during moments of doubt. But the question loomed larger. What if this resurgence of faith and hope was merely the calm before a storm? In one vivid moment, during their nightly prayers, Sarah was struck by a sudden revelation. Could her faith stand firm in the face of potential disappointment? In that instant, a glimmer of understanding seeped into her heart. Trusting in God wasn't just about the outcome, it was about the journey itself and what it cultivated within her soul. As she looked around at her family, gathered in prayer, a deep sense of gratitude coursed through her. Yet, amid the growing anticipation of miracles, what awaited them next? Would this journey culminate in the miraculous healing they yearned for, or would it lead them down a path of deeper understanding of faith itself? Tomorrow heralded another day, a step closer to the climax of their 40-day pilgrimage. What would the dawn reveal? What lessons would unfold in the light of new possibilities? The promise of transformation hung in the air, waiting just beyond the horizon. The morning sun broke over the village, casting golden rays that danced on the cobblestone paths. Sarah awoke with a sense of anticipation filling the air. Today marked the beginning of the final week in their 40-day journey, a week that seemed interwoven with both trepidation and promise. As she prepared breakfast, her heart was buoyed by the sounds of Jacob's laughter filtering through the quiet home. He seemed to radiate a newfound joy, and for those moments, the heaviness of doubt felt far away. Yet, as she stirred the porridge, uneasiness lurked in the corners of her mind. How could such fleeting happiness sustain them when the clock of their prayer period was ticking down? That afternoon, while wandering through the market, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of eyes upon her. She noticed whispers that curled like smoke around the vendor stalls. "They say the fever has returned," one villager spoke in hushed tones, her brows furrowed with concern. Another interjected, "But he seems fine. Look at him." Sarah smiled, seeking to embrace the flickering candle of hope, yet shadows tugged at her spirit. These divided opinions reminded her starkly of the battle between faith and doubt that waged within her heart. Back at home, the family gathered as they did each evening. The flicker of candlelight formed gentle shadows on the walls, creating a sanctuary of trust and unity. "Let us pray," Sarah rallied, her voice steady but her heart racing. They closed their eyes, and as Sarah spoke to the heavens, she felt the power of their collective faith rise, like incense curling upward. "Lord, we ask for continued strength. Guide us, show us your glory, and let Jacob feel your healing touch." As she prayed, something beautiful began to unfold. A soft breeze whirled through the room, blessing them with an inexplicable peace. It felt as if the fabric of their prayers was being woven into something tangible. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she imagined countless prayers stitched together, forming a vibrant tapestry of hope. After the prayer, Jacob clapped excitedly. "Mummy, I can run faster now." His words were like music to her ears. Yet as she watched him bound about the room, a thought pierced through the joy. How long could this last if the illness returned? That night, sleep eluded Sarah. She sat by the window, gazing at the heavens dotted with stars. Her heart pulsated with an urgency for understanding. Was this light merely a distraction from darker days ahead, or was it a glimpse of God's grace? In the stillness, she whispered to God, "Show me your will." Almost instantly, the answer came, not in words, but in a deep inner peace that washed over her. The next day dawned bright and clear, with whispers of promise lacing the morning air. As Sarah made her way to church, the warm sun enveloped her like a shawl. The walls of the ancient church glimmered, and the fragrance of lilies filled the air. She sensed a gathering movement of community. Each person she encountered greeted her with smiles, their faith palpable. But what awaited them in the final days of their pilgrimage?
Would they emerge from this challenge forever changed? Inside the church, the elder would speak again. Answers seemed near, yet the mysteries of God loomed larger and deeper. Outside the church, villagers converged, ready for a message of hope. Did they all realize how close they were to a revelation? What divine truths would unfold as their journey neared its climax? The air crackled with anticipation.
Suddenly, as if in response to a silent prayer, the lights in the church dimmed slightly, and a gentle warmth filled the atmosphere. A soft, rustling breeze swept through the gathered crowd, as if angels had taken flight among them. Sarah closed her eyes, absorbing the presence of something far greater than themselves, a divine whisper, both soothing and commanding. "Ask, and it shall be given," the elder continued, "for you are on the brink of a new dawn." The congregation united in prayer, voices rising like a symphony to the heavens. Sarah felt the connection surge within her, a tangible thread linking every soul present. "Lord, grant us courage, heal us, renew us," they cried out together, hearts beating in sync. Jacob's laughter broke through a moment of stillness, innocent yet powerful. "Can I run even faster now, Mummy?" he exclaimed, drawing smiles from those around them. It felt like a warm hug of shared hope among the anxious crowd, a reminder that simple joys remained even in uncertainty. As the elder's words cascaded like cascading water, Sarah sensed something building. It was more than an emotional swell. It was a deep stirring within her, a hunger for something greater, something miraculous. What was God planning for them in the days to come? "Open your hearts," the elder urged, his voice now infused with fervor. "For the windows of heaven will pour down blessings never seen before. Prepare yourselves." The air vibrated with expectation, whispers of miracles taking form. Sarah's heart raced, each beat echoing the fear of the unknown, yet caught in the excitement of belief. Yet amidst the fervent prayers and hopeful eyes, doubts stubbornly clung like thorns. What if the fever returned? What if their hopes were misplaced once again? She wrestled with the deeper truths hidden beneath her faith, grappling with the meaning of surrender. As the congregation fell into a deeper collective silence, a voice within Sarah whispered in the stillness, "Trust." In that moment, the gravity of surrender felt both terrifying and liberating. Would she dare step fully into faith? In the depths of her heart, she made the choice to trust, to stand upon God's promises even when the storms of uncertainty raged around her. As the elder finished his prayer, a profound calmness draped over them, but it was interrupted when a noise outside caught their attention. A commotion, an urgent shout. The doors flung open, and a figure stumbled in, drenched in sweat, eyes wild and desperate. "Help! You must help us!" The entire church turned, hearts racing. What new challenge awaited them at this sacred moment? Would their faith be enough to embrace this storm? The air pulsed with expectation, and in the eyes of the villagers, the question loomed larger than ever. What would happen next? The seeds of divine intervention were sown deep, but would they blossom in their time of need? The figure staggered to the front, collapsing onto the wooden floor, breaths coming in sharp, desperate gasps. The congregation leaned forward, eyes wide, hearts thundering as they exchanged worried glances. It was a moment freighted with urgency. "Please, I beg you," the man sputtered, wiping the sweat from his brow. "There's trouble in the village. Darkness has descended, and we need your prayers, your strength." A piercing silence held the room captive. The elder stepped closer, concern etched upon his face. "What has happened? Speak to us." As the man regained his breath, he shared his tale of dread. Shadows seemed to cloud their village, sickness spreading faster than they could comprehend. Children were falling ill, families were frightened and desperate. It was a perilous time, and they needed the power of the church's faithful to rise against this unseen foe. Sarah felt a chill at the back of her neck, the words igniting a fear within her she thought had been slain. Darkness, a concept she had wrestled with throughout her life, a specter that reminded her of loss, uncertainty, and the struggle for faith. Yet woven through her apprehension was a thread of defiance that stirred her spirit. The Lord would be with them, surely. "Brothers and sisters," the elder called, raising a hand to capture their attention. "We will not waver. Reflect upon the stories of our past. Time and again, when darkness encircles our hearts, God has provided a way through." As he spoke, life returned to the congregation. His words were like the breath of fresh air that invigorated their faith. Encouragement rippled through those gathered, hands merging in prayer, words not just spoken, but declared. "Lord, protect the innocent. Shield our village from harm. Bring healing where there is despair," they cried out in unison. Sarah's voice joined the clamor, growing stronger with each word. In that moment, her fears, doubts, and hesitations dissipated. The spiritual pulse quickened, knitting them together in an unbreakable bond. In the midst of their fervor, she turned to Jacob, whose wide-eyed innocence wrapped around her heart like a tender embrace. "It's okay, my love," she whispered, brushing his hair back with a tender hand. Somewhere amidst the boiling hope and fear, a flicker of light caught her eye. At the back of the church, a soft glow began to materialize. It lifted the shadows, a gentle stream of radiance that arched upwards, illuminating the faces turned in prayer. Gasps filled the air as others noticed the celestial light. The elder raised his arms, surrendering to the moment, while the congregation united in a breathless hesitation, caught between spiritual awe and palpable desperation. "What is happening?" Jacob asked, his little voice laced with curiosity. "Sometimes, my love," Sarah replied, feeling the warmth of faith swell within her. "When we gather in faith, God shows us what he can do. He allows us to see a glimpse of his greatness."
A wave of expectation washed over them, a collective heartbeat pulsing with belief. What might come next? Would this be a transformative moment, a divine intervention that would carry them through into the light? As the glow deepened, wrapping around the listeners, the elders suddenly proclaimed, "We must act. We will go to our village. We must bring the hope of God's love where it is most needed." The voices of agreement roared like a tide. They were ready to face what lay ahead, arms wide open, hearts aflame. Sarah felt the undeniable shift within her. It was no longer about fear of darkness. It was about stepping towards the light illuminated by faith, unwavering and powerful. But as they prepared to leave, the sound of an ominous bell tolled from the distance, sending shivers through the gathered crowd. What challenges awaited them on this sacred mission? Would this moment promise the deliverance they hoped for, or would it unveil deeper trials that tested their faith? The uncertainty loomed like storm clouds above, whispering the question, were they ready to embrace the mighty power of their prayers? The congregation surged with excitement, their resolve rock solid. Sarah's heart thudded in rhythm with the clamor of the faithful. She looked around, meeting the eyes of those she had worshipped alongside week after week. Each face shone with purpose, mirroring her own. This was not just about one village's plight. It was a battle against darkness itself. With careful steps, they guided themselves out of the church's wooden doors, the soft glow still surrounding them like a divine embrace. As they crossed the threshold into the cool evening air, the bells tolled again, this time sounding almost mournful. It lingered, reverberating through the still night, as if echoing the unheard cries of lost souls. "Gather close," the elder commanded, forming a tight circle as the group moved together. The winds rustled the leaves, an uncertain whispering that carried the scent of earth and impending storms. Yet their focus remained. They needed to affirm their faith, the words of prayer spilling forth in a vivid cascade. "Father," the elder commenced, voice steady yet heartfelt, "equip us with your light. Drive away the shadows that threaten our homes, our children, our lives." Others joined, their fervent pleas intertwining seamlessly. The spirits lifted, filling the air with a palpable energy that seemed to thrum about them, like life itself was responding to their faith. "I can feel it," Sarah breathed, watching as Jacob clasped his hands tightly, eyes closed in determined prayer. In that moment, all fear faded, as hope surged through her, a tangible force that rallied every soul connected to them.
Suddenly, a low rumbling echoed through the sky. The dark clouds, pieced together by their prayers, swirled ominously above, gathering and huddling as if to listen in.
But within that darkness, a flicker of light burst through, a brilliant beam that shot downwards, illuminating the path ahead like a divine compass. "Look!" someone gasped, pointing skyward. A hush fell over the group, hearts synchronized, united in awe at the sight they beheld. The light carved a path through the gloom, a clear road leading straight toward their village. Encouraged, they set forth, feet pounding the earth with conviction, each step infused with prayer, each breath a declaration of faith. The sounds of their rallying cries echoed through the night, inviting the very heavens to resonate with unwavering hope. As they trekked onward, the elder shared stories of past miracles, tales of unwavering belief that parted seas and healed the blind. Each story breathed life into their mission, painting pictures of divine glory. But as they drew closer to the village's edge, the atmosphere shifted. The once hopeful light began to dim as shadows flickered across the ground. An unsettling feeling settled in Sarah's heart, a warning she could not ignore. What awaited them within those boundaries? Were they truly prepared to face the trials? Jacob, sensing her turmoil, reached for her hand. "Mom, we're strong together, right?" he whispered, innocence draping his voice in a comforting blanket. Sarah knelt, locking eyes with her son. "Yes, my love, we are strong together. With God, we can face anything." But within, fear gnawed at her courage. The village lay before them, shrouded in an unsettling stillness, as if time paused to catch its breath. What awaited within those boundaries? Would the light they carried prove enough against the unyielding darkness that threatened to engulf them? The distant tolling of the bell rang through the silence once more, echoing with an ominous tone. Were they ready? Would their prayers hold ground against the storm? With hearts full of faith and trepidation, they approached the encroaching shadows. Every doubt swirled, but so did every glimmer of hope, ready to ignite. The air was thick with anticipation, leaving them standing at the threshold of destiny. What awaited them when they crossed into the gloom? Would this be a testament to their unshakable faith, or a trial that would challenge them to their core? As they stepped into the village's twilight, the air thickened with anticipation. Each breath felt heavy yet exhilarating, tinged with both dread and hope. Shadows clung to the edges of their vision, flickering in and out of focus as if playing tricks on their minds. Sarah's heart raced. Was it simply the thrill of the unknown, or did the darkness whisper threats? "Stay close," the elder urged, gripping his staff with determined hands. The congregation formed a tighter circle, seeking strength from one another. The warmth radiating from their bodies was a stark contrast to the coolness enveloping them, a gentle reminder of their unity.
As they proceeded, they felt the intricate weave of their prayers weaving through the village, like an invisible shield against the mounting threats. Each whisper of a name, each heartfelt request, tangled together in a tapestry of faith. We are not alone, Sarah thought, lifting her chin defiantly. The spirit of their ancestors, of those who had fought and prayed before them, seemed to spire through the air, aiding them in this sacred mission. Suddenly, the shadows flickered violently, as if alive. Gasps echoed around her. Even the elder faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. "Remember," he urged, rallying the group, "the light we carry is brighter than any darkness. We proclaim his promises." With that, Sarah closed her eyes and pressed her hands over her heart. She pictured a radiant light, one that had illuminated countless testimonies of faith. She focused on the moments when she felt divinely guided, moments that reassured her spirit. "We are here for a purpose," she whispered, filling her heart with resolve. One by one, the congregation joined in, voices rising up like a sweet song, a melody reaching up to the heavens. The ground beneath them vibrated with the power of their faith, filling the air with an energy that felt undeniably alive. But then, as if in response to their cries, a profound silence descended,
It was eerie, suffocating even, blocking out all sound and light, leaving them veiled in a chilling stillness. Fear gripped Sarah's heart again, tying knots in her stomach. What if they had awakened something far beyond their control? From the darkness, a faint figure emerged, swathed in shadow, yet carrying an unmistakable aura of malice. The crowd drew back as one, instinct screaming to flee, but Sarah stood firm. "We are here. We have come to expose you," the elder declared, voice unwavering but quivering with emotion. "Ha! You carry nothing but hollow words," the shadow taunted, its voice dripping with disdain. "Behold your feeble faith against the abyss of despair." The villagers gasped collectively, the weight of its words sinking deep. Anxiety surged through Sarah, threatening to crush her spirit. "What can we do? How can we stand against such darkness?" she thought, her mind racing. Yet, looking into Jacob's eyes, she saw the flicker of the light they had brought with them. "We can't waver now," she insisted inwardly. "Our faith is our weapon." In that moment of clarity, the collective energy shifted. A newfound strength surged through them as hearts united in purpose. Together, they could not only confront this darkness, but dismantle it with their unwavering prayers and belief. "Trust in His strength," Sarah encouraged, raising her voice above the suffocating stillness. Her words were a lifeline, binding them tighter together. But would their faith truly be enough? As the shadow loomed closer, all-consuming, a single question lingered in the air, calling out for an answer. Was hope greater than despair?
In the looming silence, an unspoken challenge hung heavily, a call to faith that demanded a response. Would they rise in triumph, or fall into the depths of doubt? As the menacing shadow advanced, a palpable tension filled the air, thick as fog. Sarah's heart thundered in her chest. Yet at that moment, she heard a whisper, a gentle reminder both familiar and ancient. "You are not alone," it seemed to echo, mingling with her stirring faith. The elders stepped forward, though fear trembled within him. "Remember the stories of our faith," he called out, "the giants who fell at the mention of His name." The congregation leaned in, hearts synchronized like the beating of drums. Instinct kicked in, their breaths grew steadier, their resolve strengthening. They began to vocalize their prayers, not one but many, their voices intertwining like threads of gold. Each name called upon was a declaration, a battle cry against despair. "Lord of light, come forth," a woman cried, her voice rising above the pulse of fear. "Deliver us from the night. Guard our hearts." With every word, the shadow recoiled slightly. It let out a furious hiss, anger radiating from its core. "You think mere words will shield you?" it scoffed, its voice a chilling wind. "You are lost in this murky abyss." But the flame of faith burned brighter in their midst. "We stand united," shouted Jacob, stepping closer to Sarah, his spirit ablaze. "Our faith fuels this fire. It is our shield." The earth beneath them began to tremble as their declaration echoed through the village. Light began to pierce the darkness, each prayer vibrating with a power that could no longer be contained. The energy they summoned grew, transforming the air around them, lifting their spirits to heights they had never known. Sarah took a deep breath, the scent of earth and hope filling her lungs. She closed her eyes, envisioning the light pouring from her heart. "Lord, we surrender this battle to you," she declared. Every ounce of her being echoed the prayer. Suddenly, a wave of warmth enveloped the group, the chill of doubt dissipating. The shadows around them shimmered as if caught in a wind, unfurling and curling away from the light they produced. They were reclaiming the village, one breath of faith at a time. "We will not back down," another villager yelled, stepping forward. "Our hearts are His home, and no darkness can take that from us." As if summoned by their determined faith, beams of light surged through the gloom, illuminating faces filled with fervor and strength. The worry and fear that had gripped them began to melt away, replaced by an unyielding peace. But as they pressed on, an unsettling question lingered. Was this light enough to confront the darkness before them? The shadow jolted violently, dark tendrils reaching outward, as if seeking to bind them once again in fear. "What will you do now?" it growled, its voice laced with desperation. "Will you forge ahead or retreat into the shadows?" Sarah's heart raced, the dilemma echoing through her mind. In this moment, they stood at a precipice. Perhaps this challenge was not merely about banishing darkness. Perhaps it was about embracing their faith strongly enough to shine forth against any threat. With unwavering determination, she lifted her hands, calling out to the heavens once more, "Let your light shine through us! Together we rise!" But even as the air shimmered with potential, an ominous weight hovered overhead. What lay beyond this confrontation? There was still a deep, uncharted territory of faith awaiting their discovery. Would they step bravely into it? Hope began to swell in Sarah's heart as she awaited the unfolding revelation. What remarkable truths would this battle unveil, and how would they emerge transformed on the other side? As Sarah's voice rang out, something shifted. The warm light they had summoned felt like a tangible shield, encasing them in an embrace of divine protection. The congregation swayed with the rhythm of their united faith, a symphony of heartbeats pulsing as one. The shadow recoiled further, its sinister form flickering in the brightness. "Look!" Jacob suddenly cried, pointing toward the darkness. "The shadow is weakening! We are making way for his glory!" And indeed, cracks of golden light shattered the blackness, each prayer forming a shard of hope. Joy surged within the group, their spirits lifting as a bright chorus of voices echoed through the now sunlit night. They sang, voices rising higher, filling the air with melodies of freedom. They were declaring their victory before it even came to pass. "I believe we can break through," Sarah whispered, her heart ignited by the hope around her. Just then, an ancient tremor rumbled beneath their feet, a sound that seemed to resonate with their prayers. The ground pulsed like a heartbeat, reminding them of the roots they had in faith. Each note of their song fueled the vibrations, stirring something deep within the earth. But the shadow was not yet finished. It lashed out with a terrifying roar, the air growing still and cold. "You think your little songs can save you?" Its voice brushed against their hearts, a whisper laced with venom. "Your faith is as fragile as a candle in the storm." In response, a wave of unity washed over the congregation. They clasped hands, interlocking their fears, doubts, and hopes in an act of solidarity. They became a single body, aching yet strong, and their prayers grew into a mighty tide of passion. "We trust in your promises, Lord," someone shouted, a declaration that surged like wildfire. The shadows hesitated, retreating ever so slightly. They flickered dangerously, but the presence of light burned brighter with each repetition of that truth. The collective anguish within the shadows seemed to crack under the weight of their faith, a reminder that darkness could never withstand the brilliance of what they carried inside.
Sarah's heart raced as she realized the core of their battle. It was not just the defeat of darkness, but the awakening of their true selves. Would they rise together, illuminated in His love? Would they let that truth reshape their perspectives forever? She lifted her gaze, filled with purpose, and cried out with renewed vigor, "Together we reclaim our village. Together we declare His majesty." A shimmer of golden light exploded around them, and they felt connected to something larger, a divine tapestry woven through their acts of faith. Peace enveloped the air. It was a solid blanket of warmth. They were no longer just a congregation. They were a vital movement, driven by the power of love and brotherhood. As the shadow writhed, the villagers leaned in. No longer consumed by fear, they sought understanding. "What lies hidden within us?" they pleaded, their voices threading through the remaining darkness. "Show us the way, Lord." A hush fell. Moments of stillness enveloped them, allowing a deeper connection with the divine to seep in. The once menacing shadow seemed less certain, its furious grasp weakening. But still, uncertainty lingered about the true power of their faith. They were at a crossroads. Would they step boldly into the unknown, trusting what lay beyond? As they stood firm, hearts intertwined in prayer, a question arose, echoing in the silence. What miracle awaited them just beyond the horizon? And as anticipation hung thick in the air, the ground trembled gently again, whispering promises of transformation yet to unfold. The congregation stood frozen, a unified force braving the harbinger of darkness looming before them. The shadows trembled, flickering under the weight of their faith, yet still held precariously to the edges. Sarah felt a swell of strength clawing at her heart. The moment was here, a divinely fraught juncture that beckoned them toward true surrender. With Jacob's small hand in hers, their fingers intertwined like threads in a delicate tapestry, she turned to him.
Together we are his warriors. Our love and faith can chase away any darkness, she affirmed, her voice steady and filled with conviction. Hope surged through the crowd as the elder raised his staff high. We will not cower. We shall proclaim the glory of the Lord and stand steadfast against the night. Our prayers are our light, he shouted, the power in each word igniting cries of affirmation. Each call rattled the air, bolstering their spirits and intertwining their hearts in a blanket of fervent faith. As they lifted their collective voice in heartfelt song, the sound resonated through the village like a mighty river, shattering the constraints of fear, doubt, and despair. The notes soared, filling the spaces once occupied by silence, a beautiful manifestation of their faith pouring forth as a delicate balm for all troubled souls. In the name of Jesus, we are free, resonated a thunderous voice from the crowd. Light, come forth!
Echoed another. This chorus of proclamations gathered strength, each voice intertwining into a symphony of hope, breaking apart the suffocating hold of darkness surrounding them. Sarah clutched Jacob closer, her heart swelling with love. Feel that? We are not just voices. We are a wave of unstoppable faith, she whispered, the revelation washing over her core. For every powerful proclamation that floated into the heavens, the shadows recoiled, their menacing forms refracting under the power of the light they claimed. Even amid the tumult, Sarah understood. Their fight was not for victory. It was a testament to their transformation. "Lord," a villager cried from the throng, tears glistening, "show us the light we can embrace. Our hearts are yours." The moment hung, pregnant with potential, as the air shimmered with divine energy. They were not just battling the darkness of adversity. They were reclaiming their strength, their identity in God, a magnificent testament to the power of faith-kindled community. Suddenly, without warning, the dark shadow shuddered violently, squirming as if it had been struck by their combined will. "You think your faith can overpower me?" it scoffed, yet its voice quivered. "This is but a game." But their voices harmonized louder, an enchantment binding them together, indomitable in purpose. "We are not mere players. We are his children, and we will not let despair claim us." With each proclamation, light surged through them, casting the shadow into sharper knots of frustration. The flickers of darkness began to fade, dissipating into the ether, gradually surrendering to the radiant crescendo of belief rising above. And then, as if summoned by destiny, a blinding beam pierced through the oppressive gloom, illuminating their faces with divine warmth. Gasps filled the air as the congregation stood spellbound, witnessing true transformation unfold within their core. "Together," shouted the elder, reaching out for hands across the circle, "let us step forward into his light, no longer afraid, but empowered by his love." As they took bold steps, the shadows crumbled like dust in the wind. A collective gasp erupted as the glow revealed their path, weaving through the very heart of darkness that had sought to consume them. In that illuminating moment, Sarah felt a tide of inexplicable peace wash over her, lifting her spirit. In every corner of her heart, she felt gratitude, and her eyes welled with tears of joy. Here they stood, a community reborn in faith. "Look, Mummy," Jacob pointed, his voice quaking with joy. "The darkness is gone!" Before them lay the village, refreshed and transformed, as vibrant lights spilled across cobblestones like morning dew sparkling in the sun. They had risen against the night. They were now woven into a vision of something greater, a unity forged from trials and strengthened by faith.
As they stepped forward together, an overwhelming tranquility embraced them, and Sarah knew with certainty this journey was not simply about overcoming darkness. It was the dawning of beautiful understanding. Their faith had not only precipitated change, but transformed hearts, renewing and revitalizing their spirits. The elder grinned, enveloping them in his wisdom. "Now, my children, we have witnessed not just the miracle of healing. We have discovered his purpose through pain, the extraordinary strength drawn from faith, and the unfailing unity found in love. Now, let us gather. Let us pray for those still lost in darkness around us. We are transformed to be bearers of light. The congregation erupted in joyful worship, voices lifted high like offerings surrendered before the Almighty. And with each note, they penned a new chapter, one that echoed with the hope and salvation only divine love could provide. As Sarah joined the chorus, she glanced down at Jacob, his eyes bright and shining with innocence. With each prayer, she realized, the legacy of faith would transcend their trials. Witnessing this moment of communion, she knew the power of their mission extended far beyond this village. It was a clarion call to spread the love, the grace, the miracles they had discovered together. This, she thought, as the final notes echoed into eternity, is not the conclusion, but the beautiful beginning of an everlasting journey. Now, dear brothers and sisters, as this chapter closes, it is the moment for all of us to shine our lights. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these divine messages. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about how faith has transformed your life. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this miraculous manifestation. Your support is a beacon of hope for many. You need to be a part of this journey.